Hey everyone. Have you ever thought that maybe there's more to success than just, good grades and test scores?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, for this deep dive, we're going to be talking about EQ.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. And honestly,
This is a fascinating topic.
it is super fascinating. And we got some really interesting excerpts from a podcast script called The Importance of Emotional Intelligence.
I love that title.
Yeah, it's a good one, right? And one of the things that I found really interesting is they talk about the neuroscience behind it.
The actual brain stuff.
Yeah, it's not just like this touchy-feely concept. There's actual science backing it up.
That's what I find so fascinating about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
We put so much emphasis on IQ,
Mm-hmm.
but emotional intelligence, it really can be much more impactful
Yeah.
on how we navigate just the ups and downs of life,
It really is. It's like a
Right.
secret weapon almost.
like a superpower.
Yeah, exactly. And the script goes right into it and talks about what EQ actually is.
Hmm.
And it's not just about being nice or anything.
No.
It's about understanding your own emotions and then being able to manage those emotions and then use them in a way that benefits you and everyone around you.
Right? And it benefits your relationships. It benefits
Everything.
your work life.
Yeah.
It benefits your health. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just has so many benefits.
So Daniel Goleman,
Yes.
he kind of wrote the book on EQ.
He is like the EQ guru.
He is, yeah. And he broke it down into these 5 components.
Right.
Self-awareness,
Self-regulation,
motivation,
empathy.
and social skills.
Yes. Those are the 5 key components of emotional intelligence.
It's like the pillars
The pillars
of EQ.
Exactly.
And what I found really encouraging about the script is that they emphasize that unlike IQ,
Which is pretty much fixed.
yeah,
EQ can be developed.
yes,
You can actually work on it and get better.
it's like a muscle.
Like a muscle you can train.
You can train it.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
I love that about it.
I know. It gives me so much hope.
Right. It makes you feel like, okay, I can actually improve this area of my life.
Yeah. And it's not just something I'm stuck with.
Exactly.
So now I'm thinking, okay, so how powerful is this EQ?
What-
Like, what's the why?
That's the question everybody wants to know.
Right.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? Yeah, why should I even care about this?
Right.
And this script highlights how powerful it can be in these different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
The first one is relationships,
Oh, yeah.
which
Probably-
makes sense.
That's a big one.
Right.
Because if you can understand and manage your own emotions, you're going to be better equipped to understand and respond to other people's emotions.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So that leads to better communication,
Yeah.
more empathy,
More empathy.
and a stronger foundation for any kind of relationship.
Yeah. And I was thinking about like all the arguments that could be avoided.
Oh my gosh, countless, I'm sure.
Right.
If we all had just a little bit more EQ.
A little more EQ. Yeah. And it's not just about avoiding conflict either.
No, it's about building deeper connections.
Mm-hmm.
Like really being able to understand and empathize with somebody.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's like a fast track to building trust and intimacy in a relationship.
Okay. So we talked about relationships. What about the workplace?
Oh, the workplace is another great example.
Right. Does EQ even matter in a professional setting?
I think it matters now more than ever
Okay.
because in today's world, everything's so collaborative
Yeah.
and you need to be able to work in teams. You need to be able to manage stress
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be able to adapt
Oh, yeah. Adapt to change constantly.
constantly. Things are always changing.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's not just about what you know,
No,
but how you handle yourself and others in the workplace.
exactly. And there's even research out there that shows that leaders who have high EQ,
Okay.
they tend to have teams that are more inspired
More in the side.
and they're better at making decisions.
Uh-huh.
So it really does have an impact on the bottom line.
So it's like those leaders that can kind of rally everyone together and
Yes.
get everyone excited.
Create a positive and productive environment.
Yes. Okay, so we've got relationships, we've got the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about our own personal well-being?
Our mental health.
Yeah, our mental health. Does EQ play a role there?
Absolutely. It's a huge factor.
Huge factor.
Because remember, EQ is all about understanding and managing your emotions.
Okay.
So instead of letting stress and anxiety and anger just kind of control you,
Take over.
you learn to recognize those feelings.
Yeah.
You process them in a healthy way,
Mm.
and you find constructive ways to move forward.
So you're taking control.
You're taking back the reins.
Yeah.
You're the captain of your emotional ship now.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah, and instead of just being like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me,
Yeah.
you can be like, okay,
This is what I'm feeling,
this is how I'm feeling.
and this is what I'm going to do about it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've established that emotional intelligence is important,
Very important.
but how do we actually get better at it?
How do we build it?
Yeah, what are the actionable steps?
Right. That's the question everyone wants to know.
Because I'm ready, like, tell me what to do.
Well, I want to know how to do this.
Yeah.
Well, the script lays out some practical strategies
Okay.
for boosting your EQ.
Okay.
And it all starts with self-awareness.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Let's break it down.
Self-awareness, what's the first step?
Well, think of it like shining a light on your inner world.
Okay.
Really taking a look at what's going on inside.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple of techniques that can be really helpful for this.
Okay.
Things like journaling or mindfulness.
Okay. Journaling and mindfulness.
Yeah, those can really help you identify your emotional patterns, like what triggers you
Okay.
and how you typically respond to those triggers.
So it's about understanding those patterns.
Exactly. It's about becoming aware of your own emotional landscape.
Yeah. And once you're aware of it, then you can start to make changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awareness is always the first step towards growth and change.
Okay, so journaling, let's talk about that first.
Right?
How can that help us with self-awareness?
Well, journaling is like having a conversation with yourself on paper.
Okay.
You can write down your thoughts and feelings about different situations.
Okay.
And as you do that, you start to notice patterns.
So if I notice that, like, every time I have to give a presentation at work,
Yeah.
I get super anxious.
That's valuable information.
That's valuable information.
Right.
Because now I know, okay, this is something that consistently triggers anxiety for me.
Exactly.
And then once I know that, then I can start to come up with strategies to manage that anxiety.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of journaling.
Okay, cool.
It helps you bring those unconscious patterns to the surface.
So you can actually see them
So you can see them and start to work with them.
instead of them just kind of running the show in the background.
Exactly. You're taking back control.
I like it. Okay, so what about mindfulness?
Mindfulness is all about paying attention to the present moment
Okay.
without judgment.
Okay. So it's not about judging yourself for feeling a certain way.
No, it's about just noticing those feelings
Okay.
and accepting them.
Accepting them
Yeah.
without trying to push them away or change them.
Exactly. It's about being present with your experience.
Okay. And how can that help us with EQ?
Well, when you're more mindful of your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
you're less likely to react to them impulsively.
Okay.
You have that space,
That pause.
that pause
Yeah.
between the feeling and the reaction.
Exactly. And that pause is where the magic happens.
Okay, so it's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
Yes, exactly.
And actually taking a moment to be like, okay, what am I feeling right now?
Right. And why am I feeling this way?
And what do I want to do about it?
Exactly. It gives you that choice,
Yeah. Instead of just reacting automatically.
which is often not the best choice.
No. So
Oh.
it's like giving your brain a mini timeout. A mini timeout
To regroup.
to regroup and choose a more skillful response.
I like it. So we've talked about journaling.
Hmm.
We've talked about mindfulness.
Yes.
And those are both really powerful tools for building self-awareness,
Absolutely.
which is the foundation of emotional intelligence.
The foundation.
So next time, we're going to dive into the other components of EQ.
Yes. We'll explore self-regulation,
Mm-hmm.
motivation,
Empathy,
social skill,
all the good stuff.
all the juicy stuff. Stay tuned.
Yes. Be sure to join us for part 2 of our deep dive into emotional intelligence.
Can't wait.
Okay, so last time we were talking about self-awareness.
Right?
And how journaling and mindfulness can help us.
Yeah, they're really great tools for just becoming more aware of your emotions and how they work.
Yeah, so journaling,
It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper.
right?
And as you do that, you start to see these patterns emerge.
Okay, so like if I notice that every time I have a big presentation at work, I get really anxious.
Exactly. That's valuable information.
Yeah.
Because now you know, okay, this is a trigger for me.
Right, and once I know that, then I can start to like plan for it.
Absolutely. That's the whole point of self-awareness.
Yeah, okay, so now I'm thinking, okay, so I'm starting to develop that self-awareness, but what about self-regulation?
Self-regulation.
Yeah, how do we get better at managing those like knee-jerk reactions?
Right, those impulsive responses.
Yeah,
Well, self-regulation is all about managing those impulses.
okay.
It's like
Taking a breath.
taking a deep breath, yeah.
Yeah.
When you feel yourself getting overwhelmed.
Sometimes the simplest things
I know, right?
are the most effective.
They really are.
Okay.
Because that pause that you create when you take that deep breath,
Yeah.
it allows you to interrupt that automatic stress response.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it gives you a chance to choose a more thoughtful response.
So instead of just like reacting.
Right? You're not just on autopilot anymore.
Yeah.
You're actually making a conscious choice.
Okay, so it's like giving your brain a little mini timeout.
A mini timeout to regroup
To regroup, yeah.
and then come back to the situation with a clearer head.
So there are other techniques too, right? Like how to regulate those emotions.
Yeah, there are things like reframing negative thoughts. Yeah. Challenging your assumptions. Even just removing yourself from a situation.
Sometimes you just gotta walk away.
Sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah.
Step away, get some fresh air.
And come back to it when you're
feeling more centered.
more centered, yeah.
So it's all about finding what works for you.
Right, like what works for me might not work for you.
Exactly. We all have different triggers.
Yeah.
And different ways of coping.
And we all have those things that just like really set us off.
Oh, yeah. We all have our buttons,
Yeah.
but the key is to know what those buttons are.
Right.
And then have a plan for how to deal with them.
When they get pushed.
Exactly. It's about being the captain of your emotional ship.
I like that.
Right. Steering it in the direction you want to go.
Instead of letting the waves just like toss you around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're in control.
Okay, so we've talked about self-awareness and self-regulation.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics.
It's a big one.
It's so important.
The script really emphasizes active listening and asking good questions.
Yes. Those are key skills.
To really understand other people's perspectives.
Right. It's about stepping outside of your own little bubble.
Yeah.
And really trying to see the world through someone else's eyes.
Okay, so active listening, what does that even mean?
Active listening is about truly focusing on what the other person is saying.
Okay.
Both verbally and non-verbally.
So it's not just about the words that are coming out of their mouth?
No, it's about their tone of voice, their body language,
Okay.
the emotions behind their words.
It's like you're really trying to pick up on all those subtle cues.
Exactly. You're trying to get the full picture.
Not just like half listening while you're thinking about what you're going to say next.
Which we all do sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Guilty.
It's so easy to get caught up in our own heads.
Yeah.
But active listening is about really being present with the other person.
So how can we get better at it?
Well, one tip is to resist the urge to interrupt
Okay.
or offer solutions before the person has finished speaking.
Oh, that's hard.
Oh, guy. I know it's hard. We want to help.
We want to fix it.
Right. But sometimes the best thing you can do is just listen.
Just listen.
And let the person know that you're listening.
Okay.
By nodding, making eye contact,
Uh-huh.
and asking clarifying questions.
So, like, can you tell me more about that?
Exactly. Or, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
It shows that you're really paying attention.
What about asking good questions?
Asking thoughtful questions.
Yeah.
That's a great way to show empathy
Okay.
because it shows that you're genuinely interested in the other person's perspective.
So instead of just asking, like, how are you?
Right.
Which is kind of a default question.
It's a very surface level question.
What are some other questions we could ask?
You could try asking things like, what's been on your mind lately?
Okay.
Or, what's been the highlight of your week?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, those open-ended questions.
Yeah.
They invite people to share more than just a superficial response.
Okay, so we're encouraging them to go deeper.
Exactly. You're showing that you're really interested in their inner world.
And that's what empathy is all about, right?
That's the heart of empathy.
Okay, so we've covered self-awareness, self-regulation, and empathy. What about social skills?
Oh, social skills. Those are essential.
Right.
For building and maintaining healthy relationships.
So this is like how we actually interact with people.
Exactly. It's the tools we use to navigate the complexities of human interaction.
Because sometimes it can be complex.
Oh, it can be so messy.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so interesting.
So the script talks about clear communication and conflict resolution.
Yes, those are key components of social skills.
Okay, so clear communication is about expressing yourself in a way that other people can understand.
Exactly. It's about being clear, concise, and respectful.
Okay.
And it's about using I statements.
Oh, like, I feel.
Yeah, I feel this way when this happens.
Okay.
Instead of blaming or accusing the other person.
So not like, you always do this.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's not going to be helpful.
No, it's going to make them defensive.
Exactly. And it's also about being mindful of your tone of voice and body language.
Right, because sometimes we can say something.
And it comes out completely wrong.
Yeah.
Because our tone is off.
Or we're like crossing our arms.
Right, or we're rolling our eyes.
Yeah.
So it's about being aware of all of those nonverbal cues as well.
It's like communicating on multiple levels.
Exactly. And it's also about being receptive to feedback.
Oh.
Being willing to hear how your communication is impacting other people.
I mean, willing to adjust.
Absolutely. It's about being flexible and adaptable.
So it's not just about what you say, but how you say it.
Exactly. Communication is so much more than just words.
Okay, what about conflict resolution?
Conflict resolution is about finding win-win solutions.
Win-win.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's about approaching conflicts as opportunities for growth and understanding.
So not like a battle.
No, not a battle to be won or lost.
Yeah, where one person has to win and one person has to lose.
Exactly. It's about finding common ground,
Okay.
compromising when necessary, and maintaining respect for the other person,
Even when you disagree.
even when you disagree.
Yeah.
Because you can disagree with someone
Yeah.
and still respect them as a person.
That's huge.
That's a really important distinction.
Yeah, because sometimes we get so caught up in being right
Oh, yeah. We all want to be right.
that we forget that there's another human being.
Exactly. And we forget that the relationship is more important.
Than winning the argument.
Exactly.
Okay, so strong social skills are really all about building those strong relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both personally and professionally.
Yeah, it's how we connect with people.
How we create community.
Okay, we've talked about self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. That brings us to the last component of EQ.
Motivation.
Motivation. This is the one I struggle with sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Motivation can be tough.
Yeah, it's like some days I'm just like,
I
but
get it.
I don't want to do anything.
We all have those days.
So what is motivation in terms of emotional intelligence?
Motivation is the engine that drives us forward,
Okay.
even when things get tough.
Even when we don't feel like it.
Exactly. And the script talks about a few key things that can help us stay motivated.
Okay.
One is focusing on intrinsic goals.
Intrinsic goals.
Yeah.
So those are goals that come from within.
Exactly. Not things we feel pressured to do
Right.
or things we think we should be doing,
Yeah.
but things that we genuinely want to do.
Okay, so it's about finding what you're passionate about.
Exactly. What lights you up?
What gets you excited?
What makes you feel alive?
Yeah, because it's so much easier to stay motivated
Absolutely.
when you're doing something that you actually care about.
It's not even work at that point.
Right, it's like play.
It's like play. Yeah.
What about maintaining a positive outlook?
Positivity.
Is that important for motivation?
It can be really helpful
Okay.
because when you have a positive outlook,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to see the good in things,
Even when things are tough.
even when things are tough. Yeah.
So it's not about denying reality.
No, it's not about pretending everything is perfect.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to focus on the positive
Okay.
and finding opportunities for growth,
Sure.
even in challenging situations.
So it's like that classic glass half full mentality.
Exactly. It's
Good.
about looking for the silver lining.
And what about resilience?
Resilience. That's a big one.
Yeah, because sometimes we face setbacks.
We all do.
And it can be really discouraging.
That can be so tempting to just give up.
Yeah.
But resilience is what helps us bounce back from those setbacks. It's about viewing challenges as opportunities for learning and growth.
So not like the end of the world?
No, not a failure.
Yeah.
Just a stepping stone
Okay.
on the path to success.
I like that. And the good news is that resilience is like a muscle.
It is.
The more you use it,
The stronger it gets.
the stronger it gets.
Absolutely. So don't be afraid to face those challenges.
Yeah.
Because each one is an opportunity to build your resilience.
So we've talked about self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, social skills, and motivation.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
That's all 5 components of EQ.
Yeah, and I'm feeling like I have a much better understanding
Me too.
of what emotional intelligence is.
And why it matters.
But now I'm thinking, okay, so what can I do today?
Right. How can I start putting this into practice?
Yeah, what's a good first step?
Well, I would say the most important starting point is self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
That's the foundation.
Okay.
So take some time to reflect on your own emotional patterns.
Okay.
What triggers you?
Mm-hmm.
What calms you down?
Okay.
What are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to managing your emotions?
So it's like taking inventory.
Exactly. It's like doing an emotional audit.
Okay. And once we have that awareness.
And you can start to develop strategies
Okay.
for navigating your emotions more effectively.
Right.
Start with small, consistent efforts.
Small, consistent effort.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything at once.
Okay. That makes me feel better.
Just pick one thing
Okay.
and focus on that.
So like maybe try journaling for 5 minutes each day.
Exactly. Or practice a simple mindfulness exercise.
Just start small.
Start small and build from there.
And remember, it's a journey,
It's a journey, not a destination.
not a destination.
There will be ups and downs,
Mhm.
successes and setbacks.
That's life.
That's life. But the key is to be patient with yourself.
Okay.
Embrace the process
Mm-hmm.
and never give up on your growth.
I like that. And celebrate those small wins along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every step forward is a victory.
So as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Emotional intelligence is not a fixed trait.
Okay.
It's a skill set that can be developed and strengthened.
We can all get better at it.
Absolutely. You have the power to become more emotionally intelligent starting today.
I love that. Now get ready, because in part 3, we're going to take this deep dive to a whole new level.
Oh, yes.
We're exploring the neuroscience behind emotional intelligence.
The brain stuff.
The brain stuff. We're going to see what's actually happening in the brain.
I can't wait.
When we talk about EQ and how understanding those neural processes can help us unlock even greater emotional well-being.
It's going to be fascinating.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. We are in the final part of our EQ exploration.
I'm ready to dive into the brain.
Yes, we're going to put on our neuroscience hats and see what's actually happening in the brain.
When we talk about emotional intelligence,
Yes,
it's fascinating stuff.
it is. And we've talked about what EQ is and like how to build those skills.
Right.
But I'm really excited to see like the brain science behind it all.
Yeah, to see what's going on under the hood.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex.
Yes. Those are two key players in the EQ game.
And just to remind everyone, the limbic system is like the emotional center of the brain.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's where our raw instinctual emotions come from.
Like fear, anger, joy.
All those gut reactions.
Yeah.
The ones that make us want to fight or flee.
It's trying to keep us safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's our primal survival mechanism.
Okay. And then the prefrontal cortex.
That's the wise executive of the brain.
Yeah. It's like the thinking part of the brain.
It's where we make decisions, plan things, control our impulses.
So it's like the prefrontal cortex is trying to keep the limbic system in check.
You got it. It's like the parent saying, hold on a second, let's think this through.
Okay, so it's like a balancing act.
Exactly. Between emotion and reason.
And this is where EQ comes in.
Right. Emotional intelligence helps us strengthen that connection between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex.
So we're building a bridge between our feelings and our ability to like think clearly.
Exactly. And that bridge is essential for emotional regulation.
Oh, okay. So we're not suppressing our emotions.
No, we're not trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
We're just learning how to process them in a more balanced way.
More integrated way.
Yeah. And there's actually research that shows that people with higher EQ,
Okay.
they have more activity in their prefrontal cortex when they're experiencing strong emotions.
Wow. So they're using their thinking brain to manage those feelings.
Exactly. They're not just letting their emotions run wild.
And is this like willpower or mental discipline?
Well, it's partly that, but it's also about strengthening those neural pathways
Okay.
through practice and repetition.
So every time we pause, take a deep breath and try to respond thoughtfully.
You're actually rewiring your brain for greater EQ.
We're literally changing our brains.
That's the amazing power of neuroplasticity.
I love that. So no matter where we're starting from,
We can all improve our emotional intelligence.
I love that message.
It's so hopeful
It is.
because it means we're not stuck with the brain we were born with
Yeah, we can actually change it.
and grow and evolve.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
I've learned so much.
Me too. We've explored what emotional intelligence is, why it matters, how to develop it.
And the brain science behind it all.
It's so much more than just being nice or, touchy-feely.
Right. It's a vital life skill.
It really is, and it can truly transform our lives.
It's about understanding ourselves, connecting with others, navigating challenges with resilience.
And living a more fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
How might developing your emotional intelligence create positive shifts in your life?
What new possibilities might open up for you?
Yeah.
How might your relationships improve?
Yeah. What challenges might you be better equipped to handle?
Exactly. There's so much potential for growth.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into emotional intelligence.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed it and that you're feeling inspired to start putting these concepts into practice.
Even small steps taken consistently can lead to big changes.
That's so true.
So embrace the journey and keep growing.
Until next time, keep diving deep.